Welcome to Annapolis Mosaics. Our program spotlights people in our community who are involved in activities designed to promote good human relations. I am Michael Keller, the chair of the Annapolis Human Relations Commission and your host. The commission is a city board that seeks to promote equal opportunity and to eliminate discrimination. My guest today is Sergeant Amy Miguez of the Annapolis Police Department. Amy, welcome to Annapolis Mosaics.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Okay. In 2018, the Annapolis Police Department established a LGBTQ liaison. And for those of our viewers who don't know what those letters stand for, they stand for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer. You serve as that liaison for the Annapolis Police Department. What led you to that assignment?
Well, it was really instigated by Jeremy Browning, the founder of Annapolis Pride.
Okay.
Certainly, he has, with helping found Annapolis Pride, he has raised awareness and established a visible, vibrant community in Annapolis that already existed, and I think it's just made it more out there for everyone to be aware of, and made the community feel safer by bringing engagement and awareness to the community. One of the things he was doing when he established Annapolis Pride was look at things about human relations and human rights relating to LGBTQ values and their community. And one thing that he saw that was lacking in the city were liaisons. The mayor's office didn't have one. The police department didn't have one. There's been a long history of having liaison programs at police departments across the country, across the world. And I happened to be friends with Jeremy, besides in my professional relationship at work. And he mentioned it to me, and I brought it to the chief at the time. And there were talks about it, and it was discussed as an added responsibility. We have a lot of responsibilities at the department. There's a lot of people who do multiple things, and we have, limited staffing. We want to make sure we provide the services that the visitors and residents of Annapolis need. So the chief was amenable to me adding it to my list of duties, and that's how it happened.
Okay. In what ways do you engage with the local LGBT community?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm an ally of the community.
Okay.
And certainly we have officers at our department who are members of the community. We have other employees as well, and a lot of people also are allies through friends and family. And we engage by meeting with the various groups that are active in Annapolis, including Annapolis Pride. The schools have GSAs, which are Gay Straight Alliance clubs. Some of the middle schools have them, the high school. There's also PFLAG, which is Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. They're very active in the Annapolis and Anne Arundel County area. They have regular meetings, and so I attend meetings on it. Not every meeting. I'm not there to bring my own agenda to their meetings. There to listen and get feedback from them about what they would like to see from the police department, their concerns, their needs, and to establish that relationship where they feel comfortable coming to us, whether it's with hate crime or any type of crime. I think it's important when we do community outreach to any group that it helps them feel more comfortable bringing their concerns to the police about any issue.
One of your major responsibilities in that capacity has been to gain the trust of the LGBTQ community. What are you doing? What have you done to accomplish this, especially in light of the challenging relationship which has existed over the years between between police departments, not just Annapolis, but
right.
with departments in general, and with individuals who are part of the LGBTQ community?
Certainly, it's a long and troubled past between departments and the community. Thankfully, we haven't had any specific incidents in Annapolis that we can really point to and say that this was a terrible thing that our officers or our police department did. But it has been an ongoing problem. And there's some time, my goal is to listen and explain, to hopefully create understanding. Yeah. I know that building trust is not something that's going to happen just even in a couple years. So it's going to take a long time. It may be something that doesn't happen till much after my career is over. But I'm not here to force people to trust us or like the police department or police officers. But I hope that we could have conversations, increase understanding, and respect each other, and that's my goal. I think that we should let the community lead the relationship and not force ourselves into it. So if there's groups that, there's been in this area, there have been some groups that are very uncomfortable with officers participating in pride parades. And been very vocal about that. We strive to do outreach with some of those groups with Annapolis Pride, because again, it's a very complex, complicated issue with, both for the community and for members of the community there that serve in the police department.
To what extent has there been bias incidents or actual hate crimes committed against the LGBTQ community in the city of Annapolis? Have you had many of those?
No, it's very infrequent. Our hate crimes in general are very infrequent. And hopefully that's not down to people not feeling comfortable reporting, though that probably is either part of it or that they don't feel it rises to the level where they want to report it. But I think that it has become more in the news and more visible in society, and it's becoming, people are more aware of the importance of reporting these crimes. So I think that our low incidence of reports might also be indicative of the diversity in Annapolis, and that might be a benefit for us.
What are the types of interaction that you have with your colleagues in the police department as it relates to your work as liaison?
I find some of my interactions with my coworkers to be similar to interactions I have out in the community in general with other parents of children and things like that. I think there's a lot more acceptance out there of the LGBTQ community in general, and that the issues that I've seen from the community, from the meetings I've gone to, is a lot to do with trans rights, especially dealing with children in school, and concerns about those things. And I think I hear the same thing from coworkers and people wanting to be understanding, to know what's happening. I recently added my pronouns to my email signature line, because it's in my family it's an issue with some of my relatives wanting people to use the right pronouns to address them, and people can get stuck on grammar and not necessarily taking into consideration someone's ability to control what you call them.
Right. I noticed on your web page that there is a picture of a police badge with the gay pride colors within it.
Yes.
You would not have seen such a thing just a few years ago, but not just with a police badge, with just about anything.
Yes.
Right now I'm reading a memoir by Barney Frank, who served as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives for many, many years. And he said at age 14 that he knew two things. One is that he was attracted to government, and second, that he was attracted to men. And with respect to the first attraction, he went into public service. With respect to the second attraction, he went into hiding.
Right.
And the memoir goes through his transition in that. But there was, I remember during the 1960s when I was in college, there was a lot of people who were going to the South to engage in the freedom marches and that kind of thing, and people were just outraged by any thought of discrimination against people on the basis of color. But very different reaction when it came to sexual orientation. I mean, that was something that it was ironic because thinking back on it in terms of how people reacted, it was just another form of discrimination.
Right.
But people didn't see it that way. They saw the behavior as being repugnant. And it's only been in just the last couple of years that the views of the public have been changing on that. There's less prejudice against people who are in the LGBT community. There is more acceptance of the lifestyle. And it's notable that there's been not that much mention during the political campaign of former Mayor Pete Buttigieg's
Right.
Sexual orientation. There have been other things people have said, but that one hasn't really surfaced as much. So my question, what I'm getting around to
Yes.
asking here, is have the views of your fellow officers been evolving on this issue in the same way as it's occurring within the public?
I believe so, and it's funny that you talk about the dichotomy between racial prejudices and prejudices with the LGBTQ community. I was listening to a social science program where they were talking about that nationwide, the public's views on the LGBTQ community have evolved much faster than views about race
Yes,
and
they
views
have.
about gender.
That is correct.
And it's been kind of revolutionary, and they're trying to figure out why those views were so much easier to change and how to apply that to those other factors. So I would say yes. I think that while the police department has had the police departments across the country have had very troubled relationships with that community, I think that there's also been a history of the community serving as police officers. And I think that that's, part of what changes attitudes is working with someone. And then you have members of your family, of your close friends who are members of that community. And that makes a difference, I think, when you relate to somebody as a person and not as the part of the group that they are.
I know that you have other responsibilities within the Annapolis Police Department. You serve as PIO. You serve in a number of capacities in the area of services to the community. Could you share some of those activities that you see as being especially important in terms of serving the residents of the city of Annapolis?
Sure. We do a lot of community outreach. We do a lot of youth outreach. I think that's really important. People want police officers to be accessible to children, to youth, so that children are comfortable talking to police officers. So we do a lot of school visits. We do a lot of programs with children, and a child should be taught to come to an officer when they need help. Not that they're going to be afraid of being racially profiled or discriminated against by police officers. So we try and establish a relationship with kids and help them develop and teach them about what our job is and what help they can get from us. So we do a program called Character Counts, which is uses the 6 pillars of character is in the program. Trustworthiness, responsibility, respect, fairness, caring, and citizenship. Citizenship as in how to be a good citizen of your city, of your community, being concerned about the environment, voting, things like that. And we do this in 3rd grade classes. We visit Annapolis Elementary School, Georgetown East Elementary School, Mills Parole, Monarch Annapolis, and as well as Eastport Elementary School. So there's we have I think 7 elementary schools in the city. So we've expanded the program over the years. Right now it's in 5, and we visit each of the 3rd grade classes. The same officer or police department employee visits that class throughout the whole school year. From October to the end of May is when we run the program, and we're in the class and we talk about those pillars, but we also talk about the police department. We bring in our canines to do demos, which is a big hit. The kids love the dogs, and learning about the program, the canine program. We also do programs at Tyler Heights Elementary School that are specifically tailored to the Latino community. They have about a 75% Hispanic student population at Tyler Heights. So we do, our Latino liaison does outreach there with families and the children, specifically things like mentoring and even just sitting with the kids at lunchtime, groups for kids transitioning into the school to help them adjust. Also, we do DARE, which is like it's the old program people are familiar with, has been revamped, and it's more about decision making, making good decisions. And we do that at the middle schools and at St. Mary's Middle School. It's another good way to get in speaking to kids when they're a little older. We have an Explorer program for that middle school age into high school age. Explorers is about learning what a police officer does, what they do. We do practical scenarios. We even do physical training and things like that with the kids. But it's basically a career exploration program. And that's like an after-school program that we do. We also have a cadet program for kids who are 18 to 21. If they're interested in police work, it's not a hugely paying job, but they get experience working at the police department, and they learn about the different aspects of the job. They help us with a lot of our community events, and then hopefully they come and be police officers. So we have one cadet now who's actually in the academy.
Oh, good.
So he's hopefully going to do well and become an officer with us. We also visit homework clubs, the Stanton Center and in Eastport and Newtown Drive. And, again, it's an opportunity to meet kids. Schools have career days, unity days, reading days, and we're happy to go in and help the schools with those days. Field trips, I've chaperoned some field trips on some schools. And then we also do, for high school age, we're doing substance abuse education for kids and a basketball league. We're partnering with the Partnership for Families, Youth, and Children to do a basketball league for 17 to 24-year-olds. So our unit, the Community Services Unit, is available to come to community meetings as well. So in community meetings, we might talk about crime statistics in the neighborhood, or there might be specific issues they want us to address. Sometimes we find that something's been happening in the community that they haven't reported to us, but they're concerned about, but no one's been calling us. So it's nice to be invited to these meetings to kind of talk about the programs we have and the things that we can offer them, and also let them know what we know about what's been happening in the neighborhood. We have a lot of information on our website about our programs. So on the annapolis.gov website, under police, we have a section called Community Services Programs, which lists everything from the LGBTQ liaison program to free home security surveys that we do as well. We also have information under Services for You on the website, which talks about fingerprinting services that we do for, sometimes with childcare jobs you need fingerprinting, or if you have a government job that requires fingerprinting. So we do that kind of citizen fingerprinting. We also have photos of our community events, so you can see where we've been out and what we've been doing. Our policies are also posted on the website, which is really important for people to know so that they can view our policies. They're on the website. And a place to make compliments for officers or complaints. You can do that all online, as well as learn about things like the Citizens Police Academy, where people can come and learn more about the police department, what we do. And as part of my PIO job, the public information part of my job, you can sign up to receive daily reports that I send out every morning. They go on our Facebook page and on Twitter and on Nextdoor. They're posted on our website, but you can also sign up to receive them by email.
Well, that's a lot of activities. That's very, very, very impressive. And you're obviously serving the community in just lots and lots of ways. You know, one of the things that you mentioned, too, is in terms of the outreach that you do to the homework programs. And I can only speak for the one that I'm involved with at Eastport United Methodist Church. We've got about 28 children involved. All but one are from the Latino community, because there's a Latino housing complex right behind our church.
Yes.
And it's so important because those children come from households in which the parents are immigrants, majority from El Salvador. El Salvador is one of the most violent countries in the world, extremely affected by gang violence and other things. And the police forces in a lot of these countries, I'm not going to pick this on El Salvador, but a lot of these countries, the police are corrupt and they're violent. And many of these immigrants have taken that perspective over, and that's why it's so important for them to see the police. And I know you've got an active outreach program for them that break down that stereotype, and I know it's working too. I know there was a program that I don't know what it was, but a number of our children were going to it, and they said, "Oh, we're going to be going to the police department. Our parents are going to take us." And the fact is that our parents are going to take us, that communicated to me that there was the trusting, that they have come to the conclusion and an understanding that the police here are not like the police in their home and original countries.
Right. Well, especially at Eastport Elementary, I actually visit the 3rd grade class there and have for the last 2 years. So some of those kids that you see in Homework Club, I may have seen in class. One thing we do when the kids have off of school is we arrange for trips where we take the kids somewhere because they're going to be off school. So we took a group ice skating during their last day off of school, and 2 of the boys from my Eastport class came to on an ice skating trip with us. So it's another opportunity for them to interact with us, and this time outside of school. So yeah, I've been over at Eastport United Methodist when we sometimes use the facilities at the church, and I've seen the kids using the playground. Some of the girls that I've had class with, and so I stick my head out, and they're like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing?" So.
Yeah, and that's extremely important too, that interaction occur. Are there any programs or activities that are on your drawing board, so to speak, things you're thinking about creating that you're at least in the planning stages of?
There's a lot of different programs out there, and we're always looking to see how we can maximize our opportunity for community and police interaction. Right now, we're gearing up for our summer camps. So we have a lot of things in the works for summer. We have some new camps that we're doing with the high school that are going to involve podcasting and video editing. So we're really excited about that. But it really is a question of resources as well, both staffing and money. We don't really have a budget in community services. We make do with a lot of finding things here and there, and people that in the community, huge help from the community as a whole. helping us stretch our dollars and providing services, you know, at a discounted rate to help us serve the kids. And we couldn't do it without that. And then staffing, you know, crime prevention, safety, those are our main focuses at the police department. We're a law enforcement agency, but it's really important for us to have the resources to put towards improving communication between the community and the police department too.
You know, and that's really, I think, key in terms of dealing with racial ethnic minorities in general. And that raises a question: is that, you know, there, I'm sure, have been instances in which there have been crimes committed against African Americans or against Latinos that were never reported because they just didn't trust the police. They didn't want to go to the police. Have you seen a market turnaround in terms of just the trust building? You can say the same thing about what we talked about earlier about the LGBT community. There'd be a reluctance to go there. Which really breaks down what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, your job is in the area of law enforcement, and you can't do law enforcement if prospective victims or witnesses are nowhere to be seen. So have you seen a result from all of the work that you're doing, the excellent work that you're doing in the area of community outreach? Do you see a increase in the willingness of citizens in the community, very specifically people in the areas of the racial ethnic minorities, becoming more willing to come forward to assist in the main function that you exist, and that is law enforcement and crime prevention and follow up on that.
Sure. No, I think that we definitely have seen an increase, even just people saying, you know, I saw, you know, you at homework club, so I knew you were, you know, here not just to arrest people in the community, and so that's why I'm talking to you about this. You know, we definitely hear that, and I think that it's in combination with those relationships and our department's consistent commitment to transparency and being as transparent as possible with things like our body-worn cameras that officers have. If people can't, you know, feel that they can come to us, it's really important that they feel they can.
Now, you made reference earlier to information at the city's website. Of course, that website is www.annapolis.gov. Okay, once they're at that home page, where do they have to go to in order to get the information? I know if they click on city government, they can scroll down to, there's a page for the police department.
Sure.
Is there any other place, or can they get everything from that one?
Yeah, that's
connection?
Our website. All our information is there.
Okay.
So they can either put in a /police at the end of Annapolis.gov, or go to the department listing, which under the government, and go to police, and that'll put you right on that front page. And there's a lot of information there. And like I said, we also have Facebook and Twitter, and Nextdoor we post on as well, so that there's different ways people can interact with us.
So, you know, for the purpose of our viewers, then the important thing to do is to go to www.annapolis.gov. You can click on city government, and you've got that little icon, and then once you're there, just scroll down alphabetically, and you'll find the police department, and you can access all this good information that Amy has been sharing with us this morning. So, thank you for viewing our program today, and please join us again on Annapolis Mosaics. If you would like more information about the Human Relations Commission, you can pretty much go to the same location. Go to www.annapolis.gov, click on that city government icon, but then you click on boards and commissions, and you can scroll down alphabetically and find the Human Relations Commission page. Always remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "We have flown the air like birds and swum the seas like fishes, but have yet to learn the simple act of walking the earth as brothers and sisters.